I'm now joined by Professor of Political Science, Peter Mathews, who's in Long Beach, California. He's the author of the recently published book, Dollar Democracy. And many thanks indeed for joining us on World News. So the analysts are working on overdrive now to find out the explanation for why Donald Trump made this shock victory in the US presidential elections. What do you think caused Hillary Clinton to lose this election?
Well, there were several things. I mentioned a few months ago, throughout the last 2 months, that this could be a Brexit election, similar, number two. In other words, we're looking at lots of dissatisfaction, a lot of anger at the fact that working middle class and working poor people lost jobs that were good manufacturing jobs in the heartland, in those states like Pennsylvania and Michigan. And those jobs haven't come back. The ones that came back were only 2/3 of the jobs are low-paying jobs. And people were really furious at the establishment because of that in the United States, as they were in Britain when they voted for Brexit. So I had predicted some of that as a good possibility. Of course, much of us are also, we thought Hillary Clinton could do well because she had the machine behind her. She had the two presidents behind her. She had Bernie Sanders. So it was either way, it could have gone either way. And I believe me, the hidden vote, that was the vote of many Donald Trump supporters that were not read into the polls, is what put him over the top. And it's totally understandable why that happened. Now, the question is, how will he govern? Will he govern in an inclusive way to bring people together, or continue to be divisive when his rhetoric was such in the primaries, where he talked about blocking illegal immigrants from coming here and building a wall and deporting 11 million of them? If he could just get off that divisive rhetoric and bring the country together and then continue with his plans to create jobs through infrastructural investment, he might do well. But many people are concerned about him and his character, and especially people who are ethnic minorities in America are really worried right now, including some of my own friends, which is a shame that we have to even worry about that. I'm not so concerned because I know the United States has a checks and balance system, and the president has to have Congress with him to do a lot of things, and they can actually end up removing him if he does the wrong thing.
And Professor Mathews, I mean, America is now deeply divided. It's not just across the states, so the red lines and the blue lines, there are divisions with religion, ethnicity, race and gender. So will he be able to heal the wounds, to bring people together, as he promised in his victory speech?
Yes, his victory speech was very inclusive and very kind in a way, and he also praised Hillary Clinton for being a worthy opponent. I think if he sticks to the issues of rebuilding the economy, bringing those jobs back and being inclusive and also investing in infrastructure and, changing the foreign policy of the United States to some extent to turn more toward the people here and to accommodate other countries to a certain extent, to working with Russia, for example, as a partner to smash ISIS and to not be so harsh on Russia and start a new Cold War. He thinks that we went too far with beginning a new Cold War after the Soviet Union disappeared. If he could do those things, then people will see him as a successful leader. But he's only got a couple of years to do it, because right now he's got the Republican Senate and the House, and this is the best opportunity for him to try to go forward in a positive way, an inclusive way, and unite the country.
So will he be able to deliver on the promises that we heard during this election campaign over the course of the last year or so, namely the building of a wall between the United States and Mexico, for example?
No, I don't think he'll be able to run that wall. It's going to cost dozens of billions of dollars, first of all, physically speaking. And secondly, he wouldn't really need to do that, because if he can renegotiate the trade agreement on NAFTA, it'll help to balance out the trade between the two countries and create more middle-class jobs in Mexico and the United States, which will then keep many undocumented workers from having to come across the wall in the first place. So fair trade as opposed to free trade, that's what he should be talking about. He's talked about it a little bit in the campaign, so he needs to implement those policies. He won't even need a wall, and it's going to be virtually impossible to build one for that kind of cost. And to deport 11 million undocumented people, it's impossible. I don't think he's going to focus on that too much right now. That was an electoral gimmick as well, I believe.
OK, Professor Peter Mathews, Professor for Political Science, many thanks for joining us and sharing your insight into this.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.